Hey, Mike right here. It's Friday morning. It's the fifth day of our Facebook Live programs. And it's, as I put on the Facebook Live item, it is still a work in progress. As you might be able to see, I've gotten some of my equipment, got better lighting for sure. And at least from my tests, I think the sound might be better, particularly when I turn around to use the scratch board. The easel, I'm sorry. I keep looking over here to look at myself on the monitor, and I should have put the monitor over there. So bear with me a minute while I do that. This is still a temporary setup, and so a lot of the things are changing even as we go about this. I should have my light just a little bit more over that direction, but I've got furniture in the way on this side of the room, so I'll have to worry about how I get this set up. Anyway, thanks for joining me. The Red Shoe Business Club, as you know, is an organization, a group of business owners that get together and help each other understand what business is about. I've mentioned before that the whole idea in business is to be able to make a profit. Even if you're a not-for-profit business, making a profit is important because the money that you make as a profit is the money that you use to fulfill the purpose that your organization has. We switch terms all the time when we talk about profit and not-for-profit and so forth, but the fact remains that the product that a not-for-profit organization provides has to be paid for just as much as the way a for-profit business operates. In the case of a not-for-profit business, it's the service you provide. It's the things that you give to the public. It's the things that you share. And if your business operations do not make you a profit, even if it's not taxable, you're not going to be able to do those things. So the kinds of things that we talk about when we're talking about profit apply just as much to a for-profit business as they do to a not-for-profit. However, I'm not going to make this discussion every single time we talk about making a profit because it takes too long. So just keep this in mind. If you're a not-for-profit business, I'm still talking to you, and the Red Shoe Business Club and the things that we talk about are important for you as well. It's interesting to me, one of the growing segments of the Christian church in the United States right now are those segments that are commonly called mega churches. They're churches that build up huge congregations, huge funds going through, huge numbers of people coming to church, and of course, huge numbers of people donating to the church. The interesting thing about that is this mega church movement started growing when people who were in charge of churches started using the same kinds of marketing techniques to promote membership in their church as businesses use to promote the sale of their product. So the lessons for and from not-for-profits are very important for businesses like yours and mine. So what we're talking about today is pretty simple. We're talking about money. We're shifting gears here. We're talking about good old US dollars. If you ever happen to listen to this and you're overseas, change this symbol to whatever the symbol for the currency that you use is. But the point is, money is king. A couple things I want to talk about money today, and then we'll go on to some other stuff. Money attracts money. I talked yesterday about belief and that you become what you think about. And so what I'm telling you is that if you want to be a profitable business, you have to think about money. You have to think about money all the time. I heard a joke once, and going back to the Christian church thing, this applies. Somebody said, I don't like to come to your business meetings because all you talk about is money. And the other fellow says, well, but you know, if I go to your church, all you talk about is Jesus. You see the difference? It's what you're paying attention to that is important for what you're doing. Now, if you're running a church, then Jesus is the one that you want to be talking about. But if you're running a business, then money is what you want to be talking about. Because if people will not give you money, then your business will not survive. It's as simple as that. Now, there are a lot of people that seem to think that wanting money, making a profit, is somehow greedy. Greed is something totally different from making a profit. Greed is taking something that you don't deserve. Greed is taking and keeping something that you don't need. Greed is trying to get more at the disadvantage of somebody else. I talk about this all the time, although I haven't in this venue, and that is the point that this is an abundant universe. There's more money out here in the universe than we could ever possibly use. And just because Warren Buffett or Donald Trump or other people take money and have a lot of money, that takes nothing away from the amount of money that I can have and you can have and everybody else can have. But what the universe does do is, in order to provide us with the money that we want and need, we have to attract the money. And money attracts money. So the more you make, the more you will make. The more you accomplish in the realm of profit, the more profit you will make. It's as simple as that. I can't tell it to you any differently. When we talked about the greatest secret yesterday, one of the things I talked about was not being needy. And the idea of neediness is something that I want you to put in your mind, or put out of your mind rather, because you don't ever want to consider yourself needy. Because while wealth attracts wealth, money attracts money, neediness attracts need. Let me give you an example. And this was something that was hard for me to learn because, look, I want to help people do some things. I want to help small businesses that are just getting started get off the ground and do better. And so as a consequence of that, when I first started out, I was very, very conscious of what I was charging for my service. Because what I was trying to do is I was trying to attract people to give them an opportunity so that they could build on that and do more. But what happened was, and it took me a long time to realize it, as I said, but what I found out was that if I was cheap, then people who were looking for cheap came to me. And the people who looked for cheap and came to me were the people that had trouble. They were people that didn't know how to manage their money. They were people that were doing things and they were trying to undercut me. They were people that are trying to cheat me, which I don't care for. So it became obvious to me that I could not continue to advertise based upon price. Now, it's true. I do a once-a-year sale, and that sale is always based on, if you'll pay me early for next year's taxes, I'll give you a substantial discount. If you, and that's the only sale I run, it lasts for about 2 weeks, sometimes 3, because if I go farther than that, then I start looking needy. I start looking like I'm begging for money. The other thing about that is that I give an explanation as to why I'm giving my price, cutting my price. And that explanation is that time of year, my cash flow gets pretty low because my big season is still ahead of me. So I want to be able to get some cash in my pocket to take care of the expenses that I anticipate having before the tax season begins. So before you start thinking about competing on price, think about the way competing on price works for you. Other than that once-a-year sale, my price goes up every year. When I very first started doing taxes back in 1998, I charged $25 for a tax return and $100 for a business tax return. Today, my least expensive tax return for an individual is $225. My average tax return for an individual is $525. And my least expensive business tax return is $625. I will raise that price after the first of the year. And the reason for that is multifold. First reason that I'm raising the price is that people will accept the quality of what you do more if it costs more to get it. Second reason is inflation, as you probably know, has gone up. Well, you think to yourself, what does that mean to me? Well, what that means to me is the software that I use to prepare taxes is more expensive. The internet connection that I have to use is more expensive. The cyber insurance that I have to have is more expensive. I have to do more and more to get protection for my computerized systems. It's more expensive. As I get more and more clients, my time is more valuable, and therefore, in order for someone to be able to get my ear, as it will, they need to pay more. I know more, so pay me. I'm not trying to be rude or crude, and I hope you appreciate the fact that when I tell you this, that as we go forward and I start wanting to get you to buy things from me, that you don't think I'm trying to be greedy or that I'm trying to overprice myself in order to do that. What I want you to understand is that pricing is the most important thing that you can do when you're setting up your business. And every single one of us, when we start to price, we tend to undercut what we should be getting. When I start working with a new client, I almost always tell them if they're in a position where they can, if they're not in a commodity business, that the first thing they need to do is to raise their price and to raise it substantially. So I'll close today with one little story. I've mentioned Dan Kennedy before. He's a real excellent marketer. He's a smart guy. He's a little abrasive, but he tells the story that when he first got started doing what he does, to him, his ability to sell the items that he was selling depended upon his ability to keep a straight face when he told the price. So think about that. When you quote your price to someone, can you keep a straight face, even if you have the feeling that what you're charging is more than you should charge? Well, do away with that feeling, because that's a feeling of neediness. You want to provide value, sure, but that value, that time, that effort, that background knowledge, all of those things that make up what it is that you do is worth it. So accept that. So that's all I'm going to say for today on the subject of money. I had originally planned to talk about record keeping. And the reason I didn't is I couldn't figure out how to get my computer to show you what I wanted to show you. And rather than try to jury rig it while we were on the air, I decided to skip and talk about money. But we will talk about money. I'll put the dollar sign back up to remind you. We'll talk about money many times, because when you're in business, money is king. Money is what's important. The Rich You Business Club is an organization that's devoted to helping business people like you make more money. Whatever it is that you're doing, providing it's not illegal and providing it's not immoral, is a worthwhile thing for you to do, whether you're a not-for-profit or whether you're a for-profit. So making money is what you want to concentrate on, and me and the other people that are involved with the Rich You Business Club are here to make sure that happens. So watch your email and watch Facebook. I will announce what the topics are for the next 5 programs next week. And I'll spend some time this weekend working on the techniques so I can do what I had intended to do today. As I said, this is a work in progress, and I'm glad you're along with me for the ride. Have a good weekend.